Welcome to The Explainer. Today we're doing something a little different. We're not just going to look at history, we're actually going to listen to it. We're tuning in to some of the most personal, most powerful poems ever composed, a direct line to the human search for inner peace. Just imagine that for a second. We're talking over 2,500 years ago, and a collection of poems kicks off with this thunderous invitation. This isn't promising you a boring list of rules or some dense philosophy. No, it's promising a powerful, gut-level roar of understanding, echoing right out of a mountain cave. So what are these poems? Well, they're called the Theragāthā, and what's so incredible about them is that they're intimate, first-person stories about a really profound journey. I mean, we're talking about the transformation from total inner chaos to this unshakable kind of freedom. So the big question is, what can we, today, learn from these ancient voices? All right, let's dive in and find out.
Okay, so first things first. And it's a really big question, right? What would make someone just leave everything behind? Their family, all their comforts, everything they've ever known, to go on this incredibly intense and difficult inner journey?
You might think the answer is some kind of mystical vision or a voice from the heavens, but it's not. The answer you see again and again in these poems is actually something way more direct. It's a stark, clear-eyed, and really human look at the world, just as it is.
Take this one monk, for example, a guy named Manava. He puts it about as directly as you can. He says he saw an old person, then a sick person, and then a dead person, and it just hit him. Life is so temporary. And it was that single, powerful realization that made him walk away from what he called the delightful pleasures of the senses. He was looking for something more real, something that would actually last.
And that right there, that's the core insight. For these monks, this constant chase for pleasure, more stuff, more cool experiences, it wasn't the path to happiness at all. In fact, they saw it as the very thing that causes dissatisfaction. It's like trying to put out a fire by throwing more wood on it. It just doesn't work.
Okay, so they've identified the problem, this endless loop of wanting more. So where do they go from there? Well, they turn their attention inward to what they saw as the source of it all, the restless, wild mind. So the question becomes, how in the world do you go about taming that inner beast? Let's take a look.
And what's so wild is just how modern this sounds, right? I mean, this is a perfect description of what we today might call the monkey mind. You know that feeling? Your mind just wandering all over the place, jumping from one thought to the next, chasing whatever little whim or worry pops into your head. It's totally running the show.
But here's the really crucial part. They didn't just throw up their hands and accept this mental chaos as a fact of life. No way. They saw the mind as this incredibly powerful thing, kind of like an elephant. When it's wild, it can be really destructive. But when it's trained, it becomes unbelievably useful. So the goal was never to crush the mind, but to skillfully and wisely guide it back into balance.
And this metaphor they use is just brilliant for showing the result of all that training. The whole point is to build a kind of inner architecture. See, an untrained mind is like a house with a leaky roof. Every time it rains, every storm of passion or anger or fear, it all just floods right in and makes a huge mess. But a well-trained mind? That's a fortress. It's a shelter with a solid roof where you can stay safe and dry, no matter how hard the storm is raging outside.
Which brings us to the payoff, right? What's it actually like to live inside that well-built shelter? Well, this is where the poems really shift gears. They move from talking about the struggle of the journey to the incredible peace you find when you get there.
One monk, Rakita, he describes it by saying that his passion is gone, his hatred has been totally uprooted, and his delusion has just vanished. And then he says something really interesting. I have become cool, quenched. Think about that. The goal isn't some fiery, ecstatic high. It's the deep, profound peace that settles in when all those inner fires of stress and anxiety are finally completely put out. And once that cooling happens, something else disappears completely. Fear. I mean, verse after verse talks about the state of being fearless, of having no terror. You have monks like Daba and Vira just stating it as a simple fact. For them, fear is a thing of the past. Imagine that. An inner security so total that anxiety just dissolves. And this beautiful verse, which is actually the very first one in the whole collection, it just says it all, doesn't it? The monk, Subhuti, he's found a peace so complete, an inner shelter so secure that he can literally look up at the sky and say, all right, rain on, do your worst. The storms of the world can do whatever they want, but they simply cannot touch the peace he's found inside. So
That's all really fascinating. But why should we care? Why should we listen to these ancient roars today? I mean, what can these voices from 2,500 years ago really have to say about our lives right now?
Well, because the journey they're describing, it's a journey we all recognize, isn't it? The struggle with a mind that won't sit still. The search for real happiness in a world full of temporary distractions. The deep desire for a kind of peace that doesn't depend on everything going perfectly on the outside. These aren't ancient problems, they're human problems.
In the end, the Theragāthā isn't just a history lesson. It's more like a mirror. These monks, with just incredible honesty and eventually profound joy, they mapped their inner worlds and they found a way to freedom. And what they leave us with isn't a set of answers, but the echo of their roar, and a really powerful question to take with us into our own lives.